Hey there, today I'm going to show you a technique that can take any type of situation and location and make it automatically epic just by one slight adjustment. I have done this hundreds of times in my 16-year career, and 99% of the time it works every time. I have done this so many times in my 16 years being a wedding photographer, and it always gives me the next level photo that I desire. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to do this technique by showing you the behind the scenes from a real wedding day. And then we're going to look at the photos and actually explain and break down why this technique actually makes things more epic. So when you watch this clip, I'm not going to straight out tell you what I'm doing or what my approach is, but I want you to watch this. And I want you to pay attention. I want to see if you can figure out what my approach was. And if you were right, I'm going to explain it after the video and you can see if you nailed it. We have not done this pose yet, but I think we can do it really well. It's prom pose. You're going to stand in front of him just slightly. Arm around her waist, actually over top of her arms, so it's going to look like this. You got it? We're going to have to work around the hair. Hold on, arm around like this. All right, just like that, okay? So the trick is, it can be, I'll pull it out. Actually, this is a good, but you're going to be on this side of her face, so you can nuzzle in. You're the good height for this, all right? So let's do a little bit more of Turner, all right? There you go. And you can, I'm actually going to have you turn and face this way a little bit more. Perfect. And dip that shoulder down for me. Yes. So you're going to come around. If you can take one hand and hold his arm so you can see. Yes. Oh, yes. Let me pull a little hair out. Not a lot. Those rings, though. Wow. Can you imagine having, oh, Michael, I'd love that. Taking notes, Michael. Okay. So he's nuzzling in. And Sharon, you are, yes. You can smile. Yeah, no, for real. Yeah. You can smile up towards the reception, okay? Sharon, perfect. Don't move, girl. We see a mountain in the background. Your hair looks great. Your jawline looks amazing. This is a dream. Okay, don't move. Just Sharon can look at me. Beautiful, girl. Beautiful. Let those eyes fall down to the elbow area of his. And no smile for one, okay? Just let those eyes come to me. Now you can smile. I know it's hard to hold it in. He's smiling. Both of you can look here. Turner, you can look at me smiling here. I know. Wow. Oh, this is so flattering. Couple more. Let me back up. Stay just like you are. I love it. If you want, take your arm that you're holding him, Sharon, and pull it a little further down his arm. Just like that. Flowers can stay nice and tight. He's doing one more nuzzle, but I'm getting the whole mountain range, okay? So I might do, it's kind of wide. Sharon, your nose can look more that way. Yes. Oh, don't move. Don't move. Wow. Both of you can close your eyes, but keep smiling like you are. Beautiful. Maybe no teeth for one. Gorgeous. Almost done. Just Sharon's looking at me. I love it, girl. Wow. Wow. Both of you laughing here. I'm ready for your You can, well, actually, can you lean towards me and laugh like you just did? You just did it naturally, and you're laughing down at her, right? So. Yeah, wait, girl, people are gonna hear this on KJL Access and be like, wait, she does the same sound over and over. Gorgeous, and yes, I love it. That was perfect. Let's walk. All right, so did you see it? Did you see what I did? We're blowing this up into a way bigger deal than it really is. All I'm doing is I am squatting down and I am going to a more drastic and extreme composition because the location that I'm using will allow for it, and it honestly does make it more impactful. And in order to fully understand the full effect and like why I did this, I'm going to show you some standard photos I took first and then explain to you the difference of how I ended up using my epic approach to make something a little bit more visually captivating. So on this image, this is standard, right? Standard image, standard portrait. The bride had told me before the wedding about this mountain range that she wanted photographed. And in my mind, I've really built this up to be a legit mountain range. This is more like a rolling hill, but she just in her mind just really saw it as being super epic. And I remember the pressure. I even said this in the video where I share behind the scenes. I just felt this pressure that this needed to be really epic. And so this, in my opinion, it's a standard portrait. It's fine. This is unfortunate, that trailer over there, that house. But in general, this is not winning any awards, right? It's not super captivating. They would be fine with it probably, but in my mind, I wanted next level. And up until this point during the day, I felt like we got decent photos, but nothing that I was like excited to go home with. I call them go home happy shots. And my go home happy shots have to have a perfect mix of good light, authentic posing, and really nice, epic, strong composition. This is nice posing, right? Decent light. The composition's just not doing it for me. So we're going to move on and I'm going to show you this. I thought, okay, maybe I'll zoom in and get a little more compressed so that they're further removed from the background. So I created more of a wall of bokeh with the background here, and I thought maybe that's going to create more of like the high impact look that I wanted. And to be honest, again, it's just fine. But just fine is not what I'm going for. And then we have some other options here. We have the zoomed in tighter portrait. That's still beautiful. I love it. I really did truly love this one. But and then I pulled that back. Maybe this is not good composition, honestly. So we got a little bit of a slant happening. I would say that's our only lead line. So the horizon line is our only lead line, and it's crooked. This is kind of a lead line in the background, but not really. We've got a little bit of extra negative space. It could have been tighter aligned more to the right with negative space coming in from the left. If you're in the composition course, this all makes sense to you. But in general, this is, I mean, rule of thirds, if you were to use it, they're kind of in the right place, but it's just not super strong. So in order to get people's attention, and in order to draw people in, I knew that I'm going to have to think of some way to make this more visually appealing. And I don't think changing my compression or getting closer or being pulled back is really what I'm looking for. So what I landed on was this. And this, I'm really proud of this because there's a few things that have to happen. You have to realize what the problem area is to begin with. The problem areas for me with some of these portraits was that the field wasn't doing me any favors. The field is just a field, and it's not providing, like I don't have like a fence line that's going back, providing a really strong lead line. I don't have anything that I could shoot through to like soften and make it more interesting. It just seems plain. So if I want to make it more interesting, I'm going to have to do something a little bit more extreme. So I had them lean forward, get into a position, a pose that I knew would work, and I had them lean forward so that I could squat down. So basically, when I'm shooting someone normally like this, and you're the camera is the subject. I'm shooting on the same plane with them. So if I want to keep shooting like that and not shoot from below and have like a double chin situation, when they lean forward, I can dip down. So when they lean forward, I can then dip down and my angle can change. And so when my angle changes, then all of a sudden, instead of having a boring field, now I have a strategic lead line with the hills, and we had clouds in the sky, which meant above their heads had some substance. So I went from using a standard rule of third composition to a center-weighted, centered composition where they're in the bottom quadrant. I would go so far as to say that anytime you strategically do a center-weighted vertical or horizontal center-weighted bottom quadrant composition, if you do it the right way, it's always going to be pretty epic. It takes a lot of creativity to be able to see that that's an option. There's another thing I want to point out is that one of the reasons why this works is because all of a sudden I have a single lead line that leads directly to the couple. It's kind of coming in from both sides and peaks somewhat close to their heads. Also, their heads are not competing. They are very much above the horizon line here. They're above that lead line, so they're not competing with it. Another thing that works is that we do have some clouds. If this was just all a white sky, it wouldn't be quite as epic because it would look a little bit overexposed, washed out. I did darken the blues here so that I'd be able to see them a little bit more. So that helps our situation as well. So I knew when I was shooting, it's overcast. I can see some of the depth in the clouds. So let's try to use the clouds more strategically. Let's have all this negative space that points our eyes very simply, cleanly down to the subject, and then use the mountains as the lead line instead of having a bunch of field and a horizon line and some hills in the back, and they're kind of like stuck in the middle and you have a little bit of clouds. It sounds complicated, but it's actually the power of simplification. And that's why this technique is great, because it works in so many different scenarios. So all you really need is an understanding of how powerful composition is simple composition. But what makes simple composition? It's getting rid of distractions, but keeping the elements that actually move you towards the subject effectively. So being able to look at these photos and being able to see, like, you know what? The field isn't doing me any favors. Having that line where the tree starts looks like a great place to use like the horizon line, but it's actually just devaluing the image. Being able to look and say like, yeah, you know what? I think that even though adding compression seems like, yeah, I'll piece them away from the background and we'll have some separation. That'll make it more epic. Actually, no, we need to simplify it even more. So that was my first approach at simplicity, was adding more compression and pulling them from the background. My second level of simplicity was just getting rid of all of the busyness of the field. Now you may say, Katelyn, there's no busyness. It's a plain open field with literally nothing but cut grass. You're right. But it's still a level and a dimension of the photo. And the reason why this works so well, the final image, is because we're getting rid of even that simple distraction of multiple layers of grass. And we're putting them in a place where all this negative space points your attention down to the couple, and then a lead line supports that negative space direction. So this is not even the only time that I did it on this exact wedding day. I did it here with the building. And it kind of brings, this is a great example of what to look for to make these type of images even stronger. When I look at this, the reason why this one works and the last one works is because there was something that I could access compositionally that's going to create a strong lead line. This is part of the composition. Without the building, if this was just a white sky, this would not be nearly as impressive. I feel like in general, it's a cool trick to pull out of your bag. The problem is you've got to be in a headspace. You've got to have the right creative health going on in your brain to be able to see stuff like this. And if you feel like when you're shooting, you are in a creative drought, like you default to verticals that are center weighted without any type of lead lines or purposeful negative space, for all of even family portraits, if that's all you can see, you may be in a creative drought. If you want to figure out if you're in a creative drought, I actually have a quiz for you. This quiz will allow you in like 30 seconds, answer a few questions, and it'll tell you whether or not you're in a season where you could use some help creatively or whether or not you're thriving. And if you're thriving, great, congratulations, add this to your list. If you're not thriving, I will be honest with you, taking this type of technique and saying, I'm gonna notice this at my next session. If creatively, if you're not in a healthy place and you felt burned out and you lack viewing yourself as an artist and being able to see things in a strategic, compositionally effective way, it's going to be hard for you to apply stuff like this, because this is something that comes to someone who is creatively in a good place and they can see all these opportunities. I love teaching people about composition. I love it. I think it's so powerful. Anyone can use it. If you're not a professional photographer, you can start doing compositional elements, adding them into your iPhone photos. If you are a professional photographer, you literally can change the amount of engagement you get on your photos and how much people stop scrolling and notice you by applying strong compositional effects to your images. This is just one example. So take the quiz, figure out where you are creatively, like your creative health. It's linked below. And then it's going to give you next steps. If you're not in a great place creatively, it's going to show you how to improve that and grow in that area of your shooting. It's a game changer. So I'm glad you tuned in. If you enjoyed this, if you enjoyed watching behind the scenes, there's a membership where you can watch me do this more often. Weddings, family sessions, engagement sessions. My first call to action for you would be to make sure you take that quiz and see where you are and how healthy you are as a creative. Like and subscribe so you don't miss another one of these. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.